In London, England, a drunk man dressed in a tuxedo enters his apartment with a bottle of champagne. As he walks to the living room, he sees an expensive watch on top of his shelf. Failing to realize that Mike, a hitman, is sitting in the dark watching him take the bait. Eager to look closer, the man grabs a small stool to get the watch. As he's admiring it, Mike comes from behind and puts a noose around his neck. Surprised, he grabs the rope and tries to get it off, but Mike kicks the stool away from the man, killing him. With a smile, Mike takes a selfie with the hanging corpse. That night, Mike arrives at the Oasis, a bar for assassins. There he meets his fellow assassins: Carnage Cliff, Poison Pete, Mick, and Mac, Jane the Ripper, Finicky Fred, Big Ray, the firm's boss, and Milton, the middleman. After catching up with the others, Mike enters the briefing room with Milton, his next hit, the Satanic Mechanics, a rock band. They then discuss his pending target, the accountant. As an incentive, Milton tells him they will pay him double if he gets it done soon. 5 days later, Mike posts himself on a house roof with a makeshift sniper rifle filled with glass shards. Aiming at the road, he waits for an incoming car. Seeing one approach, he shoots its tire, causing it to spiral out of control. His target, who was just standing at the bus stop, gets crushed by the car, killing him, making it seem like a usual accident. Later that day, at Mike's apartment, he vents out his post-murder tendencies at a punching bag. He then remembers his ex-girlfriend Beth, who left him for another girl. He reminisces about their time together, which makes him angrier, and eventually breaks the chains that hold the punching bag. After the workout, he goes to his kitchen to make some tea. He pulls out a picture of Beth and reminisces fond memories of her again. But it turns sour as he remembers her affair with Charlie, the girl she cheated with. He then opens a voice message from Milton, telling him to pick up his payment at Odeon Cinema in Chinatown. That night, Mike goes to the mosh pit where the Satanic Mechanics are performing. Sitting by the breaker, he uses his drink to short-circuit the breaker, electrocuting the band. He then slips away as people scream in terror, the band convulsing and foaming at the mouth as they all perish. Later that night, Mike heads to Chinatown for his payment. There, he encounters an assassin on a motorcycle attempting to kill him. He acts quickly and kicks the assassin off his bike. They then get into a fist fight, where Mike gets the upper hand. He taunts the assassin before snapping his neck, killing him. He sets up the place, making it look like the assassin had an accident on his motorcycle to cover up. Back at Mike's apartment, he wakes up to Charlie's voicemail. He plays it and finds out that Beth is dead. She tells him that Beth came home to burglars, catching them in the act, and unfortunately killed her. She then informs him that the funeral will be on Sunday at West Ham Cemetery, remarking that Beth would have wanted him to know. On Sunday, Mike watches the ceremony from a distance. He waits for everyone to leave before walking to Beth's grave, leaving flowers. Charlie then confronts him, which clearly shows that they don't get along, but Charlie still reveals that Beth was pregnant when she was killed. That night, Mike heads to Beth's apartment, where he investigates the files for her case. He believes it to be a professional hit, which he proves as he runs through the scenario in his head. He then deduces that Mick and Mac took her out since he found truth serum in her system, a drug that Mick and Mac are known to use frequently. The following day, Mike confronts them, asking if they were the ones who killed Beth, which the two promptly deny. He then starts listing the evidence and reveals to them that she was pregnant. Eventually, Mick admits to it but claims it's a job he has to do. Mick, trying to defuse the situation, appeals to Mike. However, Mac insults Beth by calling her a homophobic slur, making Mike snap. Even against the two ex-military men, Mike is able to hold them off. He eventually gets the upper hand and beats them down. However, Mac still wouldn't stop insulting Beth, thus, Mike breaks his jaw. Later that day at the Oasis, Mike gets confronted by Ray, who heard the news from Mick and Mac. Ray invites him to talk, and Mike shares that Milton sent him to receive his payment 2 days ago but met another assassin. He asks Ray if he knows anything about it, but Ray denies it. He then asks for the client's name, which angers Ray. He reminds Mike that there are rules in their business, and one of them is never to ask about the client. He then aims the concealed shotgun under the bar toward Mike, threatening him to stop what he's doing. The following day, Mike goes to Charlie's apartment to learn more about Beth. At first, she refuses to let him in but changes her mind when he tells her there's more to Beth's death than she knows. Once inside, Mike interrogates her about Beth's last project before she died. Charlie feels offended, and an argument ensues between the two. Not long after, Cliff breaks through the door with his axe. He goes on a rampage, swinging his axe wildly as he tries to kill them. Mike fights him off as Charlie tries to help by stabbing him in the shoulder. The two struggle for the knife, and eventually, they both fall on their back, causing Cliff to fall on his axe. After the fight, they realize that Charlie is the next target. Mike then pries more information from her, and she eventually tells him that Beth always backed up files on her parents' hard drive in their house. To keep her safe and for her to find out more information, He tells her to go to Beth's parents' home and not to call the police. Later that day, Mike heads to Leg's massage center, run by Russians. Upon entering, he encounters Fred, who's also waiting for a massage. Mike asks him where Milton is, to which he plays dumb until Mike threatens him and knocks the guard out with a single hit. He then confesses that Milton is in the back. At the back of the parlor, Mike tells Milton about a torture method called bastinado. He then executes the method by repeatedly beating Milton's feet. The excruciating pain caused by the method forces Milton to confess that the client was an accountant named Leonard Kent. Mike then realizes he won't get anything more from Milton, thus, he knocks him out. That night, the other assassins assemble at the Oasis. Ray feels that his business is threatened by Mike's recklessness, thus, he orders them to kill Mike, reminding them that if the client dies, no one will hire them ever again. He then orders Jane to safeguard the client, but she immediately declines, wanting a shot at Mike. However, Ray strictly demands her to follow his order and ends their meeting by telling them that if they fail, he'll kill them. Inside a bus, Charlie meets up with Mike. She tells him that Archie Rudd, one of his targets, and Leonard Kent worked for the same oil company that Beth threatened to expose. This confirms all the information Mike collected. Before they part ways, Charlie hands him the hard drive, telling him to punish who killed Beth. Before they parted ways, Mike tells Charlie to take care of herself and promises to avenge Beth. That same evening, at Kent's office, Mike interrogates Kent while beating him. He then threatens to throw him out the window if he doesn't talk. Fearing for his life, he admits that Atil Zim, a senior executive of the Pankot Corporation, was the one who ordered the hit. He then tells him that Zim is currently in Twickenham, London. He then shows Mike a recorder with all his calls with the contractor. But he threatens to break it, wanting to negotiate with Mike. He offers to hand it over in exchange for his safety, to which Mike reluctantly agrees. Not long after, Mick and Mac break into the office, shooting and killing Kent. Mike quickly reacts by using the table as a shield as the two shoots at him. The three get into a fight, resulting in Mike using Mac as a shield when Mick shoots. He then deals with an angry Mick by knocking him out with a fire extinguisher. Walking outside the office, he's met by Pete, who tries to poison him with a rag. Mike throws him off and gets ready to fight Pete, who's holding an injection filled with poison. It didn't take long before Mike easily used Pete's needle against him. He stabs it into his neck and kicks him off the railing, making him fall 2 floors down, killing him instantly. At the door, Fred tries to stop Mike. Not wanting to kill Fred, he tries to talk to him. With no other choice, Mike punches Fred across the face, knocking him out. He then takes Fred's bag and the poison band-aids inside, thinking it'll be useful later. The next day, Mike sneaks into Zim's mansion. He watches as Jane and Zim walk down with 2 guards. He then drops down, killing the guards with almost no effort. However, Jane is dedicated to protecting Zim and instructs him to lock himself in the next room while she deals with Mike. The two engage in a fight using everything around them. Luckily, Mike managed to kick her through the door of Zim's room. Back on her feet, Jane grabs her signature weapon, her katana. Unarmed, Mike tries to use a lamp to counter her. The two continue to fight as Jane easily slashes at anything Mike uses as a weapon or shield. Mike then finds an opening and disarms her. He now has the katana and stabs her in the stomach, finishing her off. Mike, armed with the katana, turns his attention towards Zim. He begins to walk towards Zim, who is now fearing for his life. Zim tries to bribe him, promising to make him rich. However, Mike is set on avenging Beth, thus, he mercilessly decapitates him. Back at the Oasis, a bloodied Mike walks to the bar holding Jane's katana. He reveals to Ray and Milton that the team is no longer available since he dealt with them and only spared Fred. He continues by revealing he has also killed Zim, which horrifies the two. To top it all off, Mike also accuses Milton of double-crossing the firm, but Milton firmly denies it. However, Mike proves it as he tosses the recorder playing Kent and Milton's conversation and deal. This revelation enrages Ray, causing him to beat up Milton behind the bar. Bloodied and bruised, Milton gets up and apologizes. Then, Mike takes out Fred's poison band-aids as he pretends to forgive Milton and offers them to him. Milton gladly accepts and puts on the band-aids, oblivious that it's poisonous. After a few seconds, he starts choking to death, falling onto the bar floor. Moments later, Ray angrily pulls his shotgun from the bar, aiming it straight at Mike's face. He curses Mike for ruining his business and tells him he should kill him for what he did, but he hesitates to pull the trigger. Mike, who Ray treats like a son, knows Ray won't shoot him. Ray then lowers the gun and places it on the bar. He tells Mike he's gone soft and no longer cut out to be an assassin. He then kicks Mike out, telling him never to show himself in London again. With everything that happened, Mike leaves the Oasis and rides his motorcycle out of London to find a new place to start again. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe my channel for more videos like this. See you in the next video.